Alright. Hello everyone, my name is Addidy and today I'm doing a tutorial video, my first ever tutorial video actually, on Project Spark. Now, I got a question from my last Project Spark video and it reads, "Hey man, great video. Do you know how I can make my character ride on created terrain? I saw this on the game's trailer but I don't know how to do it. For example, like an Earthbender." Alright. When I saw that question, my initial reaction is, I don't know. As you can see in Project Spark, I'm not very familiar with it. I'm only level 5, but I did figure it out. Well, I mean, I managed to find a way to do it, essentially, and I'm going to show you how I did it. Bear in mind, there's probably multiple ways to do it, probably some better ways to do it, but this is the way that worked for me. So, I just created a world. This is the first thing you see, so I'm going to go through it step by step, and hopefully not skip out on anything and you will be able to keep up. So let's see, what do we have in the brain? We have a bunch of stuff that I did not code, this just came with it, and I like to code my own stuff, so get that stuff out of here. Yeah, okay, don't need that. Alright, so what's the first thing we need to do? We need to just create a base character that can do a few simple movements, so hopefully you're familiar with this. So, when the condition here, when WASD, I want you to move, and it automatically just assigns the keys to the right movement. And I also want, conditions empty now, so it will just execute continuously. I also want the follow camera to just be there all the time, and now we've already created a character that can move around with a follow camera. This is good enough for me, but just a little bit more on that before we get into the nice earthy parts. When I press the spacebar, I would like my character to jump, and just test that out a little bit. Yep. Alright, so we got our basic character movements all nice and set up, and that's exactly how we want him. But enough of that, more into the earth parts and riding earth. Now, I tried this several different ways. The main thing that you want to keep in mind is that you need the add terrain tile. This is the one that you're going to have most of your focus on and manipulating your earthbending with, as well as subtract terrain. And there's also copy terrain tile in there, but I don't know what that one does. If anyone does, please leave a comment explaining it, because I haven't seen anywhere on the internet that knows exactly what it does as of yet. But yes, add terrain tile. So, what key are we going to have used to add terrain? I'm just going to use Q, because why not? And instead of using this, I'm going to have indented code here. It just makes it easier to switch around in case you don't like the ordering of something. So, okay. So when I Q press, what do I want my character to do? I don't want him to do anything yet, and here's why. When you create in the terrain, when you use the add terrain tile, it will create, if you use it in the brain, then it will create a default position of the character. And it's like, that's what we want. We want the terrain to be created at the position of the character. Well, no, not exactly, because I've experienced a lot of glitches with this when testing this out, and he falls through the terrain and into the water as a result. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to raise him slightly, and I'm going to go into my little prop menu here. You can pretty much use anything. It really doesn't matter a whole deal. So what am I going to use? I'll just use little ancient stone landmark, why not? And I'll just plop it here. Hopefully that's like under the guy. No, it's not, nowhere near. Where's your blue arrow? God damn it. Hey, blue arrow. There you are. Okay. So that's yeah, I'm not very good at this. Anyway, so we got our little thing under this. And what do we want to do with it? Well, we want it to make it a child object of my current character. So I'm in the wrong menu. Attachments, obviously. We want to add a new attachment, and now we want to select this And now it's important to do that. Whoops, what did I just do? Okay, well, I fucked up. Sorry. Okay. Oh yeah, alright, we have to attach it to the root. Yeah, that's what we wanted. So make sure you attach it through the player, so the player is the parent object. So now that is attached to the player, and it will go where the player will go. And what is the purpose of this? Why did I add this here? We want, because the add terrain tile adds the terrain by default to the parent object, we want this object to actually create the terrain. So go to Q, and then little thing here, and then it. Now, we're gonna add the terrain tile. The add terrain tile. Yeah, things, words. So, Q it now adds the terrain, hopefully under the player. Let's see how that goes. Probably poorly, but it takes a bit of tweaking to get right. So, okay, well, it's quite a bit under the player, as you can see, but if I do this flip, does this cool thing. Oh, yeah. Okay, you can also see the thing. That's because I messed up a little bit. As I said, it's first tutorial. What's the menu thing? Should really have learned this a bit better before I made a video on it. Properties! Here we are, I think. Appearance, visible, no. We want this to be invisible. This is purely here to hold the brain script for us. Most people would use logic cubes, I guess. So now we have our little thing here. Alright, so as terrain, you notice it was a bit too far underneath our player. So I'm going to move it up. And a little bit better, but still not close enough. Yeah, so a little bit up. Eh. Well, it's getting there. It's getting there. I think what would probably be the best thing to do here is to actually make the terrain we're creating bigger. So, type in sphere here, get a little sphere, and we'll make that a nice little beefy radius of 2, shall we? Okay, cool. So, go back, test that out. Now, I'm probably gonna... Oh no, this seems about good actually. And got a nice little lush green environment being created under his little footsies. Still a little bit low, I think. Tweak. Yeah, it takes a little bit of tweaking to get this right. And it just needs to be like really close to his feet, but not like so far up that he starts falling through the terrain he's creating. So, yeah. I mean, that seems about right. Okay, what's the next step? Now we have to actually make him write it, right? So I think now if I just, yeah, create a little bit of elevated thing, you can see he's sort of writing it, but it's not very good. Like, I'm holding down W right now and it's just not very good. He's just sort of, okay, and I just glitched through the world. That happened. Alright, so the way he rides it is pretty crap at the moment, so what can we do about this? Well, we need to make him move forward, and as we saw that when we move forward with walking, it overall just doesn't look that great, so we want a vector movement. It will just reposition the player forward as it goes along. It will keep doing it, and as a result it will look like he's riding the terrain he's created. So, how do we go about doing this? Well, I'm almost sure that there's a way. Like, this is why we put the Q in the player, by the way. We're going to make him move forward per frame iteration. And yeah, how are we going to do this? Well, I'm almost sure there's a certain way to just increment the player's position in the direction he's facing. However, I did not find that out. I use a different method because I just thought, okay, it's easier for me. Like I said, there's many different ways to go about doing this. And this is the way I did it. So, we'll have, what do we use? We can use, again, any object. Let's have a nice little apple, shall we? Why not? Now, just needs to be in front of the player. Also, we want it to keep it about foot level, and this may become clear soon as to why. Properties, appearance, we do not want this to be visible. And then we want to, okay, the little camera's in the way. Alright, cool. So, that's not the right thing, is it? I think this is it. Yeah, attachments, there we go. Okay. Add new. Well, pick a little apple we created, and we want to attach it to his root. Not really quite sure what difference these make, but just attaching the root. Little chains there just mean it's attached. Okay, so now we're gonna go into the little dude's brain. Earthbender. If I can. Okay, there we go. What do I want? I want the position. By default, we get its the current object position. Now, little yellow banner means position what? What do you mean, position? Well, I want the position to equal the apple's position. And because this object is attached to the player, the apple will always be that distance, that space in front of the character. So whenever you press the Q button, which will essentially teleport it toward the apple distance, that short distance, the apple will move, and then it will keep teleporting, and then it will create the illusion of movement, even though it's just minor teleport iterations, if that makes sense. So let's go back, let's see what that does for us. As you can see, the apple, it's there, but you can't see it. And dun, da, 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 da. You are now riding terrain. Yeah. That is a lot of fun. It's quite cool, yeah. So that's great, except it's a little too fast. I mean, it's always going to be a little too fast, I think. But you can change this by moving it closer to him. As long as it's in front of him, just move it closer, and it should change the speed a little bit. So, yeah, okay, well. Okay. Okay. Da, da, da. Yep, and that's riding terrain. So let's improve this a little bit, shall we? I think this is a little bit low still, and that, like, depending on the height of the apple as well, is okay, well, that's really annoying. Depending on the height of the apple will determine the level of terrain being created. So right now it's roughly level, it's a little bit up, but yeah, he's riding the terrain he's created. So what do I want to do? I actually want to make the terrain being created a little bit bigger, actually. Let's say, I don't know why, I used 2 last time and it seemed to be a lot bigger than this. Oh! Okay, I know why, because I fucked up. Hang on. Shouldn't swear so much, sorry. Radius. Radius! There we go. We want the sphere to have a radius of 2, so it's all over the sphere. And that should probably mess up my entire thing, but let's see how that goes. Okay. Q, and it's so big that it actually overlapped my character. That is the size I wanted, but it's... okay, so that's a problem. What can we do to solve this? Simple. Move this down, and by quite a bit, so it doesn't... Yeah. Da-da-da. Da-da-da. There we go. There we have it. We're riding a decent-sized terrain, like a boss, like a bender boss, and Okay, yeah. It's quite hard to manipulate terrain without, like, stuff like that happen, because it's hollow after all. It's 2D with the illusion of, well, it's not solid ground. Right, what do I want to do next? Now, you have noticed that the earth we are creating has a lot of foliage, and as we know, that's not the right type of dirt to use for an earthbender, because earthbenders are not hippies, or something. So, we want a material. Now, which looks most like just pure dirt? It would be material slot 7. Go back, test that beauty out. What have we got? Whoops. We got someone who can't get out of the water. Okay, cool. If you want to know why I'm falling in the water so much, it's because the original one I created, there's a way to go up initially, so instead of having glitchy ground, it'll do that. And then just, yeah, and then, like, as you can see, when you're, like, on a decent height level, it just works. Yeah. So, that's a lot more like the dirt that a dirtbender would... an earthbender would create, minus the roots and I suppose a little green stuff on the side. But that can't be helped, that's just Project Spark's artwork. What else? What else? Okay, so now we want to manipulate the height and the depth. So as we're riding it, we want to be able to control whether we're going up or down. This is fairly simple. We'll go into the brain, and now there's two ways you can go about it. You can have another button with the Q indented, so you can do like QE, for example, and they will both execute. But I want to, and the E would execute a position, and then it'll increment the Y only without the use of another object, because that's simple enough. But what if we just want to raise the terrain by itself? Well, then just leave it outside. It's simple as that. So, I'm going to get the E, and what am I going to do with this E? I'm going to make a little indent here. I'm going to create terrain. I think, no wait, I want, yeah, okay, so I am going to create terrain. Add terrain. Gonna make that nice little lovely sphere. Remember my little buggy mistake. We want the radius, and we want that radius to be a value of 2. Right, so there's another little thing you might want to do. You do, because this will almost always land you in the water, because this is the character's brain. Instead of the other object's brain we created to create the terrain underneath, we need to move the player's position up, because right now this just creates terrain where we are, but we're not moving up. So, get our position, and we want to just change the Y component of that vector, and we want to increment by... I think it does automatically increment your value when you create terrain, but it's a little bit glitchy, so thanks to Coda for at least trying to solve this issue. But it's a bit on and off, so you do want a little extra assurance that it will work. So let's press OK. Well, it is a radius of 2, so that's why that's not working. So let's go back in here. Blink. Go back. Let's play it. And then that should hopefully work. Oh, but if you notice that, there's a little bit of grass on there. Can't have that. Because we are Earthbender, not Grassbender. And it was material 7. Cool. So, what now? Now we have a way to go up, and just to show you, you can also use this while going forward. So, going up, doink, and okay, that's a lot more powerful than that's a lot more powerful. Yeah. Ah, okay, there's a better way to go about this. Sorry, I should have. This should have been created by this. I'm a little bit sorry that I kind of led you astray. There we go. If Q or E is pressed, create the terrain under the character. And what does this give us now? We don't have to reuse code that we already done, which is a good practice as a developer. And now we can just have the increment thing without worry of the creating terrain going up. So we have a lot greater control over this essentially, and because that was too exaggerated, I wanted to lower the number that this was doing it by, and hopefully now that should be a little bit better. So yes, now you can. It's doing a little bounce thing, but that's okay. Not sure why, but hey, it's going up, and that is what we wanted, despite it bouncing. Cool. So now we just have to make it go down, and this is fairly straightforward. Just go into the brain. It can be any key for these. Let's see. To go down, I'm going to use an R key. Actually, create a press key. Make that the R key, and we're going to subtract terrain. Put it up here because that's all we really need from that. So, doink, doink, and then press this. You just, drill through the terrain. But we want that to be used to go down. So, if we're just going Q, for example, and then it just subtracts the terrain, and you slowly go down, and yeah. That's all there is to it. That's how you ride terrain like an Earthbender in Project Spark. That's my solution to it. If you have any suggestions or tweaks that would make this better, please do not hesitate to leave a comment in the thingy-majig below the video. And I will see you next video. I hope this helps. I hope you learn something. Leave a comment with your suggestions. I have been Addidy. Thank you for watching.